It's interesting. I did see on TalkSport yesterday, Simon Jordan was talking about Michael Carrick. Yeah.
Yes. Let me just play it.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I want to know what you guys think about this. He's basically said he couldn't lose.
Man United manager until he's given a full-time job, and then we'll see. Then we'll find out whether he can really do it, because it's not about that false premise that Rio Ferdinand just created, that false narrative. That's a straw man argument. There were very few people that expected Man United to be in a relegation.
Straw man argument.
The bottom line is that if you put that as a precursor, then you give Carrick all the credence that he deserves. Of course, he can't do any more than he's done. He's beaten everybody. He's put them where they're third in the league, put them where perhaps arguably they should have been in the first place under Amorim. So Amorim's failings amplifies Carrick's successes.
That's true.
And the interesting thing for me will be exactly how that plays out. Why Manchester United are incapable of managing the flow of information to the media, or seemingly wanting to court the media, is beyond me. These are grown-up, significant individuals. They don't need to be having conversations or leaking information or alluding to the fact that Barada and Jason Wilcox are leading this way or that way. This should all be in-house. A decision should be made, and then ultimately it should be announced in the same way that the bloody England manager was announced by the FA. The FA are useless, can't find it, incompetent. They can manage the appointment of arguably the biggest job in English football, the England manager's job. No one knew it was coming. Man United seem to want to brief in everybody every single step of the way.
That is very true, by the way. That is very, very true. Because remember when Thomas Tuchel got announced for his re-signing or whatever, or even in the first place, it was like a day before, 2 days before, wasn't it? It was like literally Thomas Tuchel's going to become the England manager tomorrow, and it was like, what? And he is kind of right when he says that only at United do you get because I touched on this the other day when I said, you know, the story about they're going to recommend Carrick to Sir Jim Ratcliffe at this meeting. When you really break that down, that actually isn't a story, because that's how it works at every club. The CEO and the director of football would recommend to the chairman or the owner, we think this guy should get the job. And they go, all right, I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to go with that. That is completely the same in every single club. And he is kind of right in the sense of why is that magnified, but also,
well, we have to ask,
it's Man United.
It's Man United. That's what I was going to say. It's Man United.
That's how it works.
Simon hasn't worked at a global institution like Man United. He ran the place into the ground. He ran Palace into the ground. Sorry,
it's different.
And it is different, because how is Laurie getting that scoop there of like they've chosen Carrick, they're going to bring that to Sir Jim. That's who it's basically going to be. You know, and this is it.
Yeah,
don't understand it. I know it's an entertainment business. It's part of the intrigue. This is a big decision. This is not about getting it right in the short term and having a bit of validation about getting into the Champions League. Yeah. This is Manchester United's share price. True. This is Manchester United's value. This is Manchester United's performance going forward. This group of people, Barada, they get it wrong this time round. Where do they go? They were the ones that orchestrated Amorim. They're the ones that are behind Brailsford. Not Brailsford. They're the ones behind Ashworth. Have to get him. Joke. Right? So they've got to make sure that this guy has got the chops not to waste Manchester United's time. And in the last 15 games, of course, Ferdinand is right. There's nothing else he could do. But that does not mean when it comes on top and Man United are back in the mindset of their fans about able to win leagues and compete in the Champions League, that he's going to be able to do it. And we're only going to find out now when he becomes the manager, because right now he's in this lovely little ether of, if it didn't work out, it was Amorim's fault. If it does work out, it's wonderful.
Right.
He can't lose. He couldn't lose.
Yeah.
He can lose next season, though.
I mean, that's true. I can't really disagree too much with what he's saying.
And that's why I wanted to bring it here, because basically that's like he's not saying that Michael Carrick shouldn't get this job. Listen, Simon Jordan is one of the most opinionated players. If he thought that, I tell you what, he's trash, what are they doing? This is another stupid guy that they're bringing in. He's just going to fail. He didn't say that. He's saying we're going to find out. And I think that's the fairest point of saying it, of like, well, let's just find out. Let's find out. And I think that's what I think people who are against Carrick need to understand, that people who want Carrick to get the job are actually saying as well.
Like, don't have the answers. You know what I mean?
Don't have the answers. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. There's always going to be people who want Carrick to get the job who are going, now, if you phone Marcel right now and say, listen, what's Carrick? Fleck, he's going to bring the Champions League. Michael Carrick's going to return us to greatness, Fleck. You have to believe this. Obviously, there's that, yeah. Shout out to Marcel. Big love, bro. But I think most people would be like, yeah, it just feels right to give this guy an opportunity, because we don't know, you know. Yeah. But also, it's the same thing. If Iriola would have got appointed, Simon Jordan would have said the same thing. It's all good doing it at Bournemouth. It's all good doing it size of Bournemouth. You know, he hasn't played Champions League in his life. He hasn't played more than one game a week in his life. He's just got 16 draws at Bournemouth. I would challenge him to vociferously have those draws at Manchester United.
I was waiting for you. Yeah. Vociferously. But you're right. You're totally right. Those questions that get asked, that's why the debate is so loud, isn't it? Because there aren't answers to it. The answer is the future, and no one can read it unless you are, that special person, But when it's the whole, like, we've kind of joked about it, but how is he going to handle next season with these multiple games? Well, we don't know. We don't know. Let's find out. You say, you don't think it's going to work out. I say that it is. I don't even see it as like a competition, but let's both hope that it does work out in the end. And if it doesn't, we'll move on. But I mean, I push back a little bit in the fact he couldn't lose.
I was just about to say that. He could have lost. Because he wouldn't have been able to get the job if he fucked it up.
Exactly. He
could have lost.
Frank Lampard came in as the interim at Chelsea a year or two ago, didn't he? And he lost. He lost. He lost all the time. So he could lose. He absolutely could have lost. If
the results weren't good enough, he wouldn't have been able to get this job. And no one would have just said, well, it's Ruben's team, so you don't be too harsh on Carrick. Yeah. No, they would have said, this is why you don't get the guy from Middlesbrough who got sacked to fucking come and you think he can save you. That's what people would have said.